Hello, world. We are now live, and we've got a bunch of people in the call today, which is fun. So this is going to be great. So let me just get this posted to the Office Hours channel so people know what's going on. And then live now. Okay, there we go. So welcome to Office Hours, everybody. Let me get my screen shared. Here we are. Oh, whoops, what is that? Is this Epic React being re-recorded? Yep, that's happening right now. V2 of Epic React is coming. I'm working on it right now. Okay, so this is Office Hours. This is your chance to come chat with me, ask whatever questions that you have. I'm sorry I started a half hour late today. I just had another meeting that needed to get done. And I actually need to leave at around 10:45. So I got about 40 minutes before I need to take off. So yeah, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Yushan, you were here first. Do you have a quick question or it doesn't have to be quick, I guess. Do you have a question for me?
Yeah, I have one. It's about a honeypot Kent.
Okay.
Do you think it will replace reCAPTCHA, the honeypot?
Oh, good question. So honeypot has been around for a long time. This has been a common strategy for a very long time. And honeypots, and actually I'll just add, nope, that is, let's see, it's forms, can I get honeypot? There it is. Sweet. Exercise 6 of Epic Web Dev Volume 1. So folks can take a look at that. But a honeypot field, I need to make an OG image for that, so it does something there. Honeypot fields are really useful for handling the like what's the word I'm looking for? The non-sophisticated bots. And so like those bots are going through and just, they literally will look at the HTML, they'll curl the HTML, they'll find all the fields, and then they'll do a form post to that URL. Like they do not execute the JavaScript. That like they just are very dumb. They don't even check to see if you have style display none on those fields. And so that's why honeypot fields work. The CAPTCHAs are newer than honeypots, and they're intended to capture more sophisticated bots or sophisticated people who are actually going through stuff. And so I don't think that a honeypot, certainly a honeypot can't do what a CAPTCHA does. And I think what a CAPTCHA does is still quite useful, even though I hate it. It solves a real problem, I guess, is what I should say. So eventually, maybe something else will solve that problem better. But yeah, it's not going to be honeypots.
Okay. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should also mention that I don't think CAPTCHAs will replace honeypots either, because we all hate CAPTCHAs a lot. And so like there are tiers to this. It's like I've got a public form that allows people to contact me, like an email form or something. I don't want that to get hit by spam bots, so I just add a little honeypot. Super easy, doesn't impact the real users at all. It's not hard for me to implement or maintain. So yeah, but would I want to throw a CAPTCHA in there? Maybe if I got to a certain size and there was a lot of abuse or something, but probably not. So yeah. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cool. Alexa, you were next. Did you, I know, I think you posted in here. Yeah, is this the question that you're here about? You're muted. Alexa, you're muted.
Okay.
There you
Yes, I posted that, and you told me to post it here. So the error boundary and the 404 error doesn't work as expected. So with Storyblock as CMS and with a splat root. So yes, that's the thing. I don't know what it doesn't work like that. I find the turnaround, but that's not normal.
Yeah. Let's take a look. I'll pull this same thing up in the Epic stack, because this is exactly what we've got in the Epic stack as well. And so, yeah, here we're in our routes, we're in our splat route. This is like our last ditch effort to handle random pages that don't exist. So if I go to localhost 3000, here I am on the Epic stack, and then I'm some unknown route. It gives me that 404. So that hit my splat route. Let's just make sure that's the case. So console log splat. All right, there we go. So right here, whoops. There's my splat route right there. So what you're saying is that when you use the invariant response utility, then it's not, it doesn't end up in the right spot. So let's try that. Invariant response. Yeah, not found. Or yeah, I guess would say true. That's the condition. Or I think actually would say false. And then our message is not found and status of 404. So that should do the same thing. And it looks like it's working for me. So I'm not sure, there must be something else in what you're doing that is different. Maybe the invariant response utility is different. You want to make sure that this throws new response. I need to put this in a package. Actually, that would be nice. But
yes, I just copy the one from Epic Web, and
yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't take the response. It displays this message not found status 404. So it goes the other route. It doesn't take the isRoute error response. It takes the other solution. I don't know why. So I found the solution by checking all the links from the application and seeing if the URL is included in, which make things more complicated, but it works. But and I say, I go back and say that should work. That's not normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you share your screen and maybe we can look at what you're seeing there?
Yes. Wait a minute.
Okay. Just remember this is live streamed. So if you reveal any like secrets or anything like that, you'll have to reset your secrets. So I have had to do that a number of times.
Working from my sofa, so it's not the most comfortable for that, but let's go for it. So where? Share screen, okay. I think this is the desktop. Okay, so now you should see my screen.
Yes, I see your screen.
So this is the splat route, it's here. So here, so I work with Storyblock. Here I have the invariant response. Okay, so invariant response. So here I get the data from Storyblock, the story, depending on the slug, and the invariant response. So page slugs does not exist and status 404 if there is no data. So this is the condition. And then I have the error boundary. So I have tried with the general error boundary from Web, but here to make it simpler, I did it like that. So if it's yes.
Yeah, that all works. Sorry to interrupt. So here's what I'd like you to do. Let's put a console log right after the invariant response, or actually right before the invariant response, and log out data. And then let's also log out in the error boundary. I want you to log the error. But my guess is that data is going to be defined as something else. But we will see.
Okay, wait, it's open in the other screen, of course.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, I have not shared. I don't think.
No, I can see the browser.
Okay, cool. Okay, so if we go to the console here.
So go to a page that doesn't exist.
Yes, of course. Okay, so we see we have this console log, and So I imagine this is the error, and for the data, I don't
so
see
could you
any
go
error.
back to the terminal output? I want to see what the loader console log was. My guess is the loader console log. Yeah, so data is an object that has a property called message. So if you scroll down to the bottom, that you're going to see that. In fact, so in the terminal output, down at the very bottom of the terminal output, that first console log, maybe the second console log. I'm pretty sure that's what data is. And so that's why the invariant isn't happening. Because it gets past the invariant, it says, oh, data does exist. So therefore, we don't need to throw this 404.
Okay. Okay, so I have to put another condition. If data equals message, I don't know, then throw the...
Yeah, possibly. I'm a little confused by that unexpected server error, but if you could go like clear out the terminal output and go back to the browser so we can get that data prefix there, just to make sure that I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
so,
no, it's not the data. You see, it's an error.
but this is in the client. You made that change in the loader, so that'd be on the server. Okay, interesting. We're not seeing anything that has the data at all.
No.
So why don't actually, you may have a problem with your HMR setup. Could you stop the server and start it again? Huh, you're not getting that console log on line 24. That console log's not happening at all.
For information, this is transfer here. Let's say export default loader to the index. Okay. So I don't know.
Yeah, that is strange. It looks like your loader's not running, perhaps.
But it's working because if I make pages that exist, it works. So
I'm just trying to figure out where that why we're getting that message not found twice. Oh, I know why, actually, because yeah, don't worry about that. I know why. It's fine. So yeah, I'm just confused why we're not getting anything logged on the server with that data prefix.
And I think I have tried that because this turned me crazy, and I tried everything. So I'm sure that I have tried to console log.
Could you add a console log to line 22?
Where? 22. Okay.
Line 22. Just console log the slug.
Okay.
Okay, that worked. Yeah, I'm still not sure why that error is happening. But my guess is that the get story block API.get, that's throwing an error. That's what I'm thinking, because we don't get to the next line. So you could add a dot catch on that to handle that that error. Could you add a dot catch at the end?
Where?
At the end of line 23.
Like that.
And then just have it return null.
Okay.
Yeah, console log the error and then return null. Yeah.
Return null. Okay.
All right, let's see what that does. Let's take a look at the terminal output there. I'm still not sure what that error is all about, but there we go. Yeah, I think actually if you go to the browser now, I think it's working. Maybe, maybe not.
No, now there is a.
Oh, I know what it is. Go back to your editor. I think this is working. You just instead of returning null, return an object that has a property called data. No, back on line 27. Instead of returning null, return an object that has a property called data, and that property should be null.
Okay, yes.
Yep. It'll work now.
What is wrong?
The extra curly. There you go.
Okay.
Yep, there you go. Go to the browser.
Okay. Yeah, it's green now.
So, well, what the problem was is the Storybook API is throwing an error when that thing doesn't exist, apparently. And
Okay.
so what we're doing is we're just catching the error that's thrown and then making it do what we want it to do for this particular case. So you can maybe refactor that, make it do whatever you want to do, but that was the problem.
That's a subject for a post, I think, because doing it with four pages with remix and Storyblock. Yes, I will do that.
Yeah, you could write a post about that for sure. Anybody who's building Storyblock with remix would probably benefit from that. So
yes.
Cool. Okay, I'm glad we figured that out. Adam, you were next. What is up? You're
Hey,
doing dad duty right now.
Yeah, I'm technically on parental leave, although work
Me
still
too,
gets
actually.
involved. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Congrats. But yeah, I think this is our first YouTube recording. But yeah,
Nice.
the one Epic Web has been awesome, and then two, your previous courses have been great. So this is the first time kind of coming through Office Hours.
Oh,
I have a
thank
really
you.
kind of simple question, probably.
Uh-huh.
I looked around in terms of the docs and stuff. I couldn't find. Was there anything that's like essentially the Epic stack, but with like the notes part all kind of thing, where it's just simply like essentially the users, all the testing, like, so it's kind of just like the most blank boilerplate.
Yeah.
Obviously you can go through and chop those things out, but I didn't know if one thing like readily
Yeah,
existed.
that is a really good question. I have toyed around with the idea or thought about the idea of having like an Epic stack blank or something like that, that just removes the notes portion. And like there are two challenges with that. Challenge number one is just keeping them in sync, would be a significant challenge. And so then the question is, well, why don't you just make that be the template? You don't have any notes. And the problem with that is then you miss on why certain things exist and how to use them. Like, why would you show a toast message? I guess you could show one when they log in, but what about I can't think of what it is right now. There were like 3 or 4 things that was like, if I remove notes, then this feature doesn't need to exist, but almost every app needs this feature. And so it's just, it's hard. So, and then like making sure that it's, those features are tested. I need to have a place for those things to be tested. So as I'm making changes to the Epic stack, I have a verification that those changes actually will work. So yeah, nobody has built it. I would not say or be opposed to like somebody taking it on as a challenge for themselves, building it, and then like inviting other people to or like making a pull request to the docs to say, hey, if you want a blank slate, then try this thing. I would be super into that. And in fact, eventually, I mean, we have a CLI already, but it's a very dumb CLI. It doesn't really do much. But eventually I plan on it being a very helpful CLI. And I would, if somebody were willing to say, here's the blank version of the Epic stack and maintain that, then I would be happy to have that as an option in the CLI, potentially. But yeah, anyway, that's the long answer to your simple question.
Yeah, because the side I was like, the way I was kind of thinking about it is almost like the Epic stack as the blank boilerplate to start, and then one of the examples would have been like a notes, which
notes.
then has like it's like the current structure flipped essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Was like, or at least it's not to say that it has to be that way or should be that way. It was like my brain from the original when you like post about that, I thought that was going to be the structure. Like the CLI would be like, here is this blank boilerplate, but then if you want to drop into any other things, you could click these things and then it'll fill out these other sides. But yeah, if I could get around to it, I will create the boilerplates. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, if you find yourself creating enough new projects that you feel like the half hour or so it takes to remove the notes stuff is a pain, then yeah, creating your own version of the boilerplate is probably worthwhile. So yeah, I may in the future make it a little bit more of a blank slate. I know that there like some folks have suggested, why don't we like make environment variables at least for the name of the app, so I don't have to go everywhere and change the name of Epic Notes to whatever my app is called. Or and the reason I won't do that, I've had like 2 pull requests for that, and the reason I don't do that is because when you're building a real new app from scratch, nobody does that. Like you don't do it that way. And so I don't want you to start out your app doing stuff that you just wouldn't do. I'd rather have you go through and in in honestly like 30 seconds go and find and replace Epic Notes. Like that, it really is. I understand that it's kind of annoying you have to do that, but the alternative is worse. So but like some people are saying, well, you could do code mods and stuff, and that just sounds like a lot of extra work for a pretty minimal benefit. Eventually, like it definitely, that could be a thing we do, but there was another thing I was going to say about all that. I forgot what it was. But I definitely I appreciate the pain, and I appreciate the patience as well.
No, I mean it's funny. So some of the other courses I've taken here. So basically, I taught myself to code, and then my first job was at Amazon doing natural language understanding stuff. But then it was like dropped into like big enterprise internal tools. Then I only have to plug in as like basically a junior developer into like a larger system. Did well in there. So my brain now is like, okay, I feel like I can write high quality code. I feel like it could deal at scale. I know I could deal with at scale. So the biggest, like the other like part of the circle that I'm trying to get the full set, like in the middle, is like speed. So basically I was like hoping with the Epic Stack stuff is just like bam up, and then like how many so my parental leave like kind of challenged myself is like how many projects could I bump out in her naps?
Oh
So
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
those
sure.
30 minutes is like each one was actually like this is substantial saving of time. So I was like, yeah, so it's just kind of the mindset of like
Yeah.
having that would be like awesome, but that's my own, that's just giving background on like my particular like learning journey is like right now is like increasing the my speed essentially.
Yeah, totally. So I think this will help out quite a bit. So all that the Create React App CLI is it just actually calls out into the Create Remix CLI with a template that points to Epic Web, Epic Stack. And so you could literally just do this exact same thing. Like you don't need a CLI, but you could just run this. And instead of the template being Epic Web, Epic Stack, it's your username, your version. So you would do the 30 minutes once and put that in a repo. And then, yeah, you could just like churn out a ton of apps. So yeah, absolutely. Maybe I should document that somehow or something, because it's a common enough question.
Yeah, I could make a chop at it and then just push the work to you, and then you could either edit and whatever and push that to others.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd be into it.
Cool. That was all. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Okay, let's see. I've got another 15 minutes or so. So let me come up to where the last office hours was, make sure I answer questions people had. If you're in the call, you get priority. So if you have another question come up, feel free to interrupt me. But I will assume I've answered all of y'all's questions. So see, I think we talked about this. I don't know that I answered Jack's question. Oh no, I did. Yeah, we got through all of this stuff. Arpit, when using SQLite on Fly, how do you analyze your queries? Oh yeah, good question. Here, I'm gonna say answering this now. So we were looking into adding some stuff with Prometheus. Here, let me bring this over here. I just want to make sure that I don't accidentally show something that I shouldn't. But I'm going to pull up my own fly instance for my own personal website and the metrics. Here we go. Okay, so you've got the metrics. Of course, this is not going to show a whole lot as far as your SQL-like queries go and stuff. But there's Grafana is built into this. This also is not going to show you as much as you or as detailed as you probably want, but you can customize this, and there is like Prometheus. Is that? Yeah, here we go. So we made a pull request to Epic Stack to add Prometheus. And you could actually probably take this PR and just implement it as is because it works nicely. And this included some stuff with Prisma. Or yeah, here we go, DB server. So it would like count the number of queries and include the duration of the queries, all of that stuff. And then you could look at that in your Prometheus stuff. This is cool. Prometheus is open source and you can host it yourself, and it's all free, and that's nice. However, Sentry also has the ability to do all of this stuff and display it to you nicely. Unfortunately, the Sentry's current support for Prisma has got a bug in it or something, but soon, hopefully, you'll be able to get all of that information straight out of Sentry, which we have built into the Epic Stack. So stay tuned is the answer to that question, unless you want to just go all in on the Prometheus stuff, which is also pretty cool. So hopefully that answers your question.
Kent,
yeah,
I have
sure.
a question. Yeah. When I'm doing the form workshop, I got an issue. The issue is actually when there's an image upload to implement. When I submit the image, same, let's say first time I upload the image and then click the submit button. Then after second time I go back there and then again click the submit button. Then the image got undefined.
Yeah, I seem to remember you posted about that somewhere, right?
Yeah, let me send you the link.
It sounds familiar is all I'm saying. So here, let me get this running myself. And it looks like there's an update available. And let me pull this over here. We'll go to the file upload. We'll go to this last one and set the playground. In fact, actually, I'll set the playground to the finished version, so I don't have to finish it. And we'll open up this in the playground. Here we go. Okay, great. So close others. There we go. Okay, so you're saying that I go to here, I add an image, and we'll just take a screenshot here, yoink, and that's my image. And then I submit that, and then I go to edit the image, and then what do I do?
Just submit again.
Yeah. Oh, so without changing anything. And then you get an error when you do that?
Yeah. It's undefined.
Okay, interesting.
Awesome.
So what I would suggest is go to the diff tab and diff your playground with the solution. And I would assume there's going to be a difference there. If there's not, then there's something else that's weird. But I would expect there'd be some difference there, and that should kind of help guide you what you're missing.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'll check that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good. So Albert is asking, and Jacob answered. But Jacob's answer is correct. So why do we do KCD root session, not just session, as security reasons, name preference? Yeah, and it's pretty much just because my local host sessions conflict with each other. So if I'm running my website and I call it session, but then I go to run one of these playground apps or whatever, Epic Web, Epic Stack, whatever, and they're named the same, then I'm things get messed up. So it's all for DX. Okay, notice in the last live stream you're using aliases. Can't find them out. Yeah, here, let me show you what I do. .files. You'll find everything I'm doing for that in my .files. I use ZSH, and let's see, I think if I go to shell, I think this just happens automatically. I'm pretty sure it automatically picks up my ZSHRC file in the terminal. Hopefully that helps. Okay. I understand you're not the maintainer of Conform, but do you have any idea on why the parse function requires us? Yeah, I don't know actually. Yeah. I've wondered that also. I'm not 100% positive. I would recommend opening an issue and seeing whether you can contribute an improvement there. Okay. Benjamin, could you advise on the best approach for storing user settings in a database where each set? Oh yeah, I read this a little bit. Okay, so user settings. This is a tricky thing because the reason why you don't want to just have a table for user settings is because you're like, well, I'm constantly adding a bunch of different user settings. I don't want a migration every single time. But strictly speaking, you probably should. You just make a table, has all the user settings, all the possible user settings, key value, and yeah, that's probably what, like, you're not going to have database overhead. In fact, it will probably make things faster to do things that way. You can query things that way. And yeah, you'll need a migration for every user setting, but eventually you're going to run out of user settings. And so, yeah, some of the tricky thing is like maybe the user has a bunch of like sub settings or something like that. And so you might be tempted to like, I don't want to make a whole nother table. We'll just, put it in JSON. It's probably fine to do that if it really bothers you. But I would say just make a table for all of these settings. That's probably what I would do. And let me just make sure. So it wouldn't necessarily be a single table, potentially. It could actually be multiple tables. Yeah, trying to think about my own. Yeah, I don't know if I have any specific example I can think of where I did this. This is just my intuition. So hopefully that answers your question, Benjamin. I would say make a proper table for users settings. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I would make, I mean, you got data type and parse it accordingly. I don't know. I just make it a regular table. So like maybe you have multiple tables potentially. Yeah, you probably would have multiple tables for all the different types of settings, and that's okay. It's not a lot of overhead to have a bunch of tables. Okay, great. So Sammy, what's up? Yeah, go ahead.
I have small question about autofocusing. Let's say there is an form that the first input has a date field. So if you set autofocus, then the date picker will automatically open. Is it okay from the user's perspective?
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. You have a date field and you have autofocus on the date field?
Yeah, because it's the first one.
Yeah, that's fine because the user can use the keyboard to select the date and everything. Yeah, it's not, sorry, I should say generally, in some situations that wouldn't make sense. Like if you're, but if you know that the user's intent on this page that they just navigated to, if their intent is going to be to fill out this form, then yeah, you typically want to focus on the first field
Okay.
generally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Thanks.
Cool. All right. So Sammy had this idea that was kind of interesting, where Sammy wants to make a custom it function that encodes the idea that an environment needs to be set up here. Like, did I already say I'm answering this? No. Okay, let me let Sammy know that I'm answering this now. Okay, so I would not recommend this because I just don't see it being super like the way that you do things in a testing environment. Let's see. I've got Epic. Here, let's stop this, close this, and Epic Stack is right here. So I've got a test.test. Here we go. We'll go with this one. So and I'm using test, but there's also it. Oh no, I'm in Playwright. No, different one. Test something inside of app. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so I'm using test right here from vtest, but it also has it, and I can make my custom it and all that stuff. What I would suggest is there a reason you can't just use after each and before each? And in fact, actually, I think we do something kind of similar to this with the way that we test the, yeah, it's actually the first test in the testing thing here. Testing, Epic Web. It's the unit testing one right here. So in the unit testing, we start out with just writing a simple test for this get error message function. That is a pretty simple function, but it gets to be more complicated because it turns out that the get error message function calls console.error, and we don't want that to show up in our tests for one, and then for two, we also want to make sure that we assert on what it's getting called with. And so we have that assertion there. And so like you might think, well, I need to have this for all of these tests. Every one of these tests that are testing this thing, I want to make sure that console error is mocked out. And so then you might think, oh, I'm going to make a custom test function or a custom it function like you're doing here that ensures that we mock out the console error before. This is very similar to what you're doing with the environment variable stuff. There's a slight difference that we'll talk about in a second. And so, but what you can do instead is just use the before each and after each to handle all of that mocking and everything. And then you don't have to worry about doing a custom function. You can nest things in a describe block if you feel like, oh, I want these things to have this behavior before and these ones to not. Or what I typically do is I'll just put them in separate test files so I can keep everything really flat. But you do it the way that you prefer. Here I also enable restore mocks, so I don't have to do any cleanup, but you would potentially also do an after each to reset your environment variables. So now, one of the problems though is with environment variables, often you need to have those environment variables set up before the test, the thing you're testing is imported because it's using those environment variables as part of the import. And so that is where we actually run into the same problem with the test database, where we need to set an environment variable somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, we need to set this database URL environment variable to the proper place before we do anything with Prisma, because Prisma is going to use that environment variable. And so that is why we do this dynamic import to get Prisma. So what you could do is you just have a before each, or even in the root level of the module here, set the environment variable, and then make sure that happens before any of the testing things, the other testing things you're doing. So this after each or this after all could be inside of the test block as well. But the point is that you would do a dynamic import so that it imports properly with the right environment variable. And if you want to do multiple different environment variables that you're setting, I don't have an example of this right here, but what you can do is use a thing called reset modules, which I'm pretty sure VTest supports, but Jest, of course, supports this. Reset mod, yeah. So reset modules, Jest and VTest both support this, but then you can do your dynamic import. Then whoa, what just happened? That was weird. And then it resets the modules, and then you do another dynamic import, and the whole module gets reevaluated. So that could be another thing that could help solve your problem. Let me know if I misunderstood some of your problem, but I would strongly advise against doing this. I don't think that it's a good idea. So yeah, you had a wrapper. Yeah, still don't recommend this. I just don't think that it's the best way to approach it. I think that you can manage doing what you're doing in the way that I just described. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any further questions. Okay, I have got to go. Let me see if I can just answer really quick these last questions. Okay, seeding, DB with Faker. Let's see. Except for adding blog posts. Yeah, so here's what you do. You write posts. And once you write posts, then you can use the actual posts. I guess it depends on if those are coming from a CMS, but you can like download some of that content. But like seeding with the database with Faker is probably fine. I don't think that makes too much a difference. When I'm running my own site locally, if I go to the Call Kent podcast, these are all seeded with Faker and mocked with the MSW. Same with the Chats with Kent podcast, seeded with Faker, and it works, and mocked with MSW. That works just fine. So I don't see any problem with that. Yeah, implementing a rich text editor, I think it's overkill. Currently thinking of creating MD and MDX files, storing them in the DB by running a script to analyze the info from the front matter. Well, okay, so I guess it depends on where you're sourcing your blog. We've got Alexa on stream right now, and she would tell you Storyblock is a pretty good place to put your content. So if you want to use a CMS, that's honestly, yeah, here we go. I heard of something like a headless CMS is usually the way to do it nowadays. Yeah, it's a great way to do it. What do you say, Alexa?
Yes, it's the best way, of course. Yes.
So yeah, you could use Storyblock. The epicweb.dev site uses Sanity for managing content, but yeah, headless CMS is honestly, it's the easy way to do it. Okay, so there's another thing you could do is Remix has built-in support for MDX, so you can like in your routes directory create MDX files, and poof, you've got your blog. So you'd have routes/blog / here's all my blog posts. That's the easiest way to do it. Super easy. It requires a rebuild every time and a redeploy every time you even fix a typo, which I don't like, but it's easy way to do it. But if you're planning on making more blog posts and you want to like really make this super great, then a headless CMS would be really good. Or you can subject yourself to the pain that I did and make your blog the way that I did. Speed Metal Stack is a Speed Metal Stack or React Remix. There we go. So you could do this. This stack was built a while ago, like a year ago, based on my own personal website's architecture. So if you want to try that, it will be a lot harder than just using a headless CMS, but definitely something you could do. Okay, I've got to go really quick. Do you think it's worth spending time learning regex? Yes, I think learning regex is probably a good idea. But yeah, I don't think that you need to take like a course on it or anything. But yeah, probably good knowledge to have. Even with GPT and Copilot, you got to review that code, folks. So don't just like accept everything the AI creates for you. It'd be a good idea to understand how that works. But yeah, I absolutely 100% use Copilot and GPT to help me write my regexes for sure. I just make sure I test them before I commit to them. I don't see anything in Epic Stack docs about it besides might be coming in future. How do you handle logging? Yeah, so we don't right now. There's not a official logging solution or like storage of logs. I have mixed feelings about this actually. Sanity logging. So Sanity has a blog post versus something. What is it called? No, not Sanity. Sentry. I always get those two companies mixed up. Here we Sentry versus logging. This is a very interesting thought that honestly I kind of am siding with. Basically, like the idea is logging is a lot of noise and it's very difficult to make sense of the noise. So like production monitoring, performance and stuff like that, like that's all great, but just a stream of logs can just be a lot. What's even better is just error tracking and stuff, but I don't know. This remains to be seen in the Epic stack. I'm still evaluating. Okay, I don't know that I have time for this. My son is at school. I need to go get him. He's not like waiting for me. He's still got 10 minutes till he's out, and it takes 5 minutes to get there, so it's fine. I have a page in Remix app where the component where the user enters something in the input form, then I use that input to fetch a response in the action currently. Then I want the response showed on the same page below the initial input box. So the different typical redirect. Yeah, okay. What do you suggest the right way to do this? Currently, I've set the response in a cookie and the loader pulls it out of the cookie, but the component doesn't re-render. Yeah, okay. So use fetcher is exactly what you want. Yeah, you want use fetcher. You might be interested in using the full stack component pattern. And full stack component. Really? I was hoping that I would get that auto-completed. What? Oh, good grief. Epic Web. Geez, I definitely expected to be the top of that search. All right, there you go. That's what you probably want to do. Good luck. And either way, you're going to use a use fetcher. Big K, what's up? Take the twist your arm. Do you plan on doing a workshop on deploying production apps? Didn't I think I answered you, but I answered somebody. Deploy global, good grief, Epic Web Tutorials. There we go. Deploy web applications. That is the workshop you're looking for, I think. Distributed logging. Yeah, so it just talked about logging multiple instances. Yep. For modern web apps. Yep. NX and Turbo repo. Nope. Maybe eventually, but not right now. Do I do mono repos? But yeah, if I did, it would probably be NX. Whoops. And I don't have time to explain why. Okay, hello, sir. Any other languages? Nope. I did Java and Perl and a little Python and a little Ruby, but never anything substantial. Oh, and I started my adventure with C. Actually, I started with machine code, zeros and ones, upgraded to assembly. I'm not joking. I had a class where I wrote
Really?
a calculator in assembly. I wrote a program in machine code, zeros and ones, that would take an input and then print the output. That's what it did. So you would like type in the letter Y and then it would print Y to the screen. That's what it did. It was like too many lines of zeros and ones. It was awful. And then we upgraded from that to assembly, where we made a calculator in assembly. And then we upgraded from that to C. That was a fun experience. So yes, I have tried other languages. I don't like any of them. I just like JavaScript. I haven't tried Rust. I hear Rust is cool and hip and stuff. But yeah, I just like TypeScript, JavaScript stuff. Okay, I think that is it. Hope that was helpful. I got to go get my kid now. So thanks everybody for joining. And yeah, we'll see you all in the future.
Thanks,
Bye.
Phil. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Sorry, it's taking